graph computation has obviously been around since the beginning, but there is still always more to add. It's a big field. And we also recently added the concept of native tree representation as a specialist form of graph. I think in version 11.2, the tree function arrived. So I think the biggest thing in graphs is some real improvements to isomorphism finding. Now, if you're not in the graph theory space, give me a moment to show you examples to make sense of these things. This has made possible now a really decent implementation of subgraph isomorphism finding. So what is that? I think of it as pattern matching for graphs. So let's imagine I've got a social network, and these are all the people who know each other, and I need to find certain types of people within that. And there's some experiment I want to do. Maybe I'm a psychologist, and I want to find groups where you've got 4 friends who know each other, apart from 2 who have not yet met. Can we find people a collection of 4 people that match that pattern within this data? And what that turns into is this statement here, to find a isomorphic graph from that graph that is subject to labeling identical to this graph. So we don't care what else it's connected to, and we don't care what the labels are, but it has to have the same shape as this graph. And there might be lots of them, so I'm going to ask for only 4 so they can fit on screen nicely. And it's found here 4 of these, that person number 15, 2, 152, and 12 all know each other, except for 15 and 152 who don't know each other. So we've met our pattern. And so this is a very general bit of kind of infrastructure for searching graphs. Now, you might use that within a graph theory space, but I'll show an example in another domain where you don't really think of it as graphs, but like a lot of these infrastructures, it empowers other computations. And this is the real strength of our all-in-one philosophy. You know, if we lived in a toolbox or random libraries world, like some people believe in, then the fact that this would live in some kind of graph theory library or toolbox would mean that we couldn't rely on it from say, a chemistry toolbox, which I'll come to in a minute, which is the case I'm thinking of where this kind of thing comes in useful, because we couldn't assume that you have it. Or you end up with some big dependency tree that says, in order to use this toolbox, you have to have the right version of this other toolbox, and you have to disentangle those things. So all these kind of infrastructures, even if you use Mathematica only for the high-level functions in quite a light way, you do care about this infrastructure because it's what powers everything else.